Alright guys, today I'm detailing this Formula boat. Just basically doing the interior. I'm going to clean all the leather, I'm going to clean all the vinyl, pleather, whatever you want to call it. Basically on the interior portions. And then I'm also going to do the floor. This boat was involved in a fire, so it's got kind of fire damage potentially on this leather, some soot or just grime from the smoke. This boat had full canvas on it when the fire occurred, and so smoke kind of just filled this whole area. And so it's basically an insurance type job today. All right, so in some of my other videos, I've put together some interior cleaning with the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser using just water. In some cases, water's not going to be enough. In this instance, it really made a lot of sense to use a leather vinyl cleaner. I happen to be using Malco leather and plastic cleaner on this. It's just a professional brand leather and vinyl cleaner. Worked really well with the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. And I guess really just the highlights are, whenever we're doing a job professionally, time is always important, right? We want to be efficient and effective in what we're doing. And so one of the big things I like to do is make sure I always start in a place that makes sense and then work all the way around and through the work so that we don't miss or forget a section. Alright guys, one thing I try and always do in my details is work systematically. I started in this back corner today, and I'm just going to work around the entire boat all the way up to the front and then just make a big circle. Now you may think to yourself, well, of course you're going to do that. It only makes sense. It's systematic. You're going to go from one point all the way around till you reach back to that same point. Well, I can't tell you how many new guys I've trained that will pick a random, weird, to me anyway, spot to start detailing, whether they're cleaning glass, doing isinglass, doing leather, whatever the case. They just jump in randomly and start, and I always stop them and tell them, you've got to be systematic. You got to look at each section of whatever you're doing, and you've got to pick a point that makes sense for a start point. And think about it. Okay, I'm going to go from here to there, 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 there. And when I get all the way back around to here, I know 100% I've done everything. And then what do? You go back and you double check and make sure that you've done everything. But having a good start point and a planned end point in mind is going to help you. We work out here in the heat, out in the cold. We don't eat. We work for 7, 8, 9, 10 straight hours. All that stuff plays into what your end product is going to be. So the easier you can make it on yourself by planning your work and then following that plan, the more consistent you're going to be, the faster you're going to be, the less mistakes you're going to make, the less things you're going to miss that you think you got done. I don't know about you, but for me, even when I was younger, and I'm older now, I may think I've done something and be wrong. I may be convinced that I've done something. Shoot, I walk into rooms sometimes and get there and wonder why I'm there. Well, same thing in detailing. Don't be questioning yourself about if something was done. Know it was done by defining where you're going to start, how that's going to flow, and where you're going to end. It'll help in the long run, trust me. So a lot of times a customer will ask me when I'm bidding a job or have set up a job, hey, when you're doing it, can you just make sure to get all the, inside areas and all the storage spots? And, I just always think, why would they ask that? The answer is, a lot of people that do this, maybe, if any do it, it's too many, right? So I don't know if it's really a lot, but people are missing those areas. There's a reason why a customer asks you to do something that you would assume you do anyway if you're a professional, and that is because people are missing them. So, rule of thumb, if it opens, open it. Look inside. Clean out the jam. this little cabinet that's right next to the work I'm doing right now. You got to open things like that. Make sure you clean all the way around the edges and the seals. Any seat cushions that can lift up, any folding seat cushions, you always want to make sure just to open all those areas and clean around the edges. One customer referred to it as, don't miss the corners. And really that's what it is, right? You got to hit all the flat, big, open, obvious surfaces, but you've also got to hit the corners. If you're missing the corners, it's really not a detail. You're just, you're a boat washer or a car washer or whatever. So make sure to really think about and look at all the potential areas. This countertop I'm working around right now, that's a sink. You got to lift that open. There's a big rust stain around the ring of that. The sink's usually going to have some dirt in it. You got to clean in there. Just really be detail oriented. If a customer can see it, you should have seen it, right? So we get paid well, do a good job. Got to make sure we're not missing those corners. So probably really the last important thing I have to say about interiors, or really for that matter, any detailing that you do, in addition to being systematic and thinking out what your work is and getting your flow going, always try and, be comfortable. If you're doing something and you're twisting your back, or you're, just not feeling right in your body while you're doing it, that's going to create a problem down the road. So I always try and just, be very ergonomic about what I'm doing. It's a lot of repetition, a lot of motion. I try and change it up. I try and switch hands, but I'm always thinking about, is this a natural movement for my body, right? Is the position I'm in, am I bending my back weird? Am I, turning my neck while I'm reaching down and scrubbing? Just all these things you really got to pay attention to. It's going to help you stay in the game longer, be able to do it effectively, efficiently. And, if you guys are in the game, when you work on a boat all day or a car all day, you get home, you're tired, you're sore. It is not easy work, even if you're doing these things like, thinking about your body position and, just using good motion and range of motion and not overexerting or overextending yourself. So the more you can think about that and develop a system of doing that, the better off you're going to be in the long run. So always something to consider. I know, just for having been in the business for years and years and years, in the beginning when I used to do car detailing, I'd always just be super sore in the end, kneeling down on the ground, working, the low side of the interiors, that kind of thing. Now that I'm older and I've been in the business for a long time again, I'm just super careful about body positioning and all that stuff. It's always a consideration. Whenever I talk to new people and train new people, my big thing is, if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're stretching too far or if you're bending funny and it just doesn't feel right, there's probably a lot better way you can set up. So always pay attention to that, because in the long run, if you're hurting yourself, you're not going to be any good tomorrow. And there's no shortage of work. So treat your body right. Think about how you're feeling, and do your best.